Connor McDavid is quickly becoming the face of the NHL's next generation. Just a few seasons into his professional hockey life, he's racked up what feels like a career's worth of accomplishments on the ice. Away from the rink, he's building up his own brand, teaming up with the likes of BioSteel, Canadian Tire, and CCM, along with working hard to take his game to the next level.
When you come to an event like this, it's a reminder of the training that's happening behind the scenes. And there are a lot of people that think, oh, Connor doesn't have to do training, but maybe you can just remind us of what happens behind the scenes for you, certainly during the season, but even during the off season.
Yeah, honestly, the product that you see on the ice is a byproduct of a lot of hard work that everyone puts in. It's eating right, it's in the gym, it's on the ice, it's doing whatever else. I mean, what you see on the ice is always almost the finished product, and it's always, your game's always evolving and always growing. So, a lot of people can sometimes assume that a player just shows up and plays, but it's definitely a lot more than that.
A lot of times in life we talk about the difference between good and great, and part of that is the talent that somebody might have. The other part of it is the ambition that someone has, and certainly you are a very ambitious person. You're setting very high goals. Some would say you are your biggest critic. What is that driving force within you?
That's just how I was brought up, honestly. I came from a very hard-working family. My dad kind of instilled that in me. Just to always be working, never, always try and keep an even keel. When the times get tough, don't lose your mind. Keep at it. And when times get good, it's time to work even harder at that point. So, for me, I just kind of always grew up that way, and a lot of it's to do with my parents and brother.
You so quickly took the world by storm. You're only 21, and I wonder, with all the expectations you put on yourself, that you hear around yourself, is there a way to balance that out and just sort of take things as they go on a certain level?
I think, yeah. The way I do that is by having a really good family around me, a lot of good friends. That just keep me even keeled. When I'm around them, it's just you're just Connor. You're not a hockey player. You're not nothing. You're just your son or your friend or your whatever. It's refreshing to be around that. So it can be a little bit overwhelming at times, the pressure that gets put on me, but not only that, but the pressure I put on myself. So it's definitely refreshing to go back and just have good times with them.
And hockey is a business, and there's contracts in that side of the business, but then there's the opportunities off the ice. And how much thought goes into figuring out things like brands? Which ones are really most associated with what I'm all about? I mean, certainly with BioSteel, here's something that really incorporates into the world that you're already living in.
Yeah, to figure out partners, obviously it's got to be a two-way street. The partner has to want to work with you, and you want to work with them. I've been very fortunate to be in a position where I've had the chance to kind of pick and choose between some, and the relationship here with BioSteel was just very organic, very natural, and that's kind of what you look for. Is it a product you use? I do, on an everyday basis. Haven't been using it a long time. I've been using it since I was probably, 12, 13, 14 years old. So. For me, this BioSteel deal is just very organic and natural, and I love the guys that are in the business. John, Camilleri, Matty Nickel. Those are guys that you just want to work with and be around.
Yeah, and what I think too, I mean, obviously you have a huge social media presence as well, and if you're talking about things that you're partnered with or involved with, that too has to be organic. It has to be true to what you're all about as well. For sure, and social media is something that I don't definitely excel in. I don't love doing social media and stuff like that, but obviously it's part of the job, and I have an understanding of that, and it's a brand. To be part of a brand, you want to be able to promote it. You don't want to be like, do I really have to do this post or do this? You want to do everything you can to help that brand because you love being a BioSteel athlete or an Adidas athlete or whatever, One thing we've heard over the years from athletes that are so successful in their careers is advice they got along the way. People like Magic Johnson in basketball who would say he'd hear from all the people who were courtside at the Lakers games, he'd learn about great opportunities in business that way.
I think everyone is always trying to offer advice, and I'm very lucky to be in a position where I know, a bunch of different players that have come before me, a bunch of the greats, Wayne Gretzky in Edmonton and Bobby Orr as my agent, and it's really hard to just pick one piece of advice. I think one thing that kind of has always stuck with me is my dad always kind of taught me, make every day count towards what you want to do, and then I try to do that. Whether it doesn't always have to be working out or playing a game or doing anything, but just doing the right things. Making sure you're getting enough rest, you're eating right, and I think that's kind of always stuck with me.
And I would think it's true in business or business opportunities too. I mean, you've got a long career ahead of you, and you have a lot of opportunities ahead of you. It's kind of a long game on that front.
It is, and being an athlete, your window to make your money is not as long as if you're an executive or whatever. So you really have to be smart with your money, and you got to make your money go a long way and last you a long time. And I'm surrounded by a lot of smart people. One guy that has kind of taught me a lot, I know about business, is Mike Camilleri, who is involved in BioSteel. Really, really bright guy, really, really good hockey player for a long, long time, but has almost done just as well off the ice. I often would sit down with him and I'd go to dinner with him and listen to what he had to say about business, because it's something that I definitely have to learn about. I got to get better in. It's an area that I'm not overly comfortable in. So I'm always trying to learn, and he's a guy that I've definitely leaned on.
Well, as we said, you're 21. There's a long ice career ahead of you, but it does sound like you are thinking a little bit about that next evolution in your own career as well.
Yeah, for sure. You always got to be planning ahead, and I'm lucky that I have my dad that helps me with all my business side of it, and he takes care of all my money and all that. But there's going to be a point in time where I'm going to have to take that on, obviously, and I can't just sit back and be like, here, you take this, and let me know when your credit card's maxed out or whatever type of thing. You have to be able to make your own decisions and be very much involved, and it's something that I'm definitely trying to learn in.
I've seen the video of you at your childhood home taking the shots into the wall. I'm wondering, do you still do that if you go home today, or in your other home? Are you still taking shots at home?
It's actually funny. In my house that I live in now, I have a little bit of a shooting area and whatnot for shooting pucks. But I like to be on my rollerblades and stick handle, and there's not really a good space for that. So I actually still go home and use my parents' house and use their garage. Just to rollerblade around and work on my hands, work on my skills. There's just what I love to do. It's what I grew up doing, and it's kind of a happy place. So I oftentimes get back there.